noticed that he has a lot of one-on-one time with Saul.
Kody does?
Yeah, Kody has a lot of one-on-one time with Saul.
Welcome. It is time for another 15-minute recap of an older Sister Wives episode. Today, the spinning wheel chose Season 8, Episode 6. I've already recapped Season 8, Episode 7, so if you want to, you can go ahead and watch that one next, but let's go ahead and get started. So in this episode, the anthropology students are 3 days into their stay with the Browns. They're going to be staying for 4 days. Now, the show starts out focusing on Janelle, Kody, Gabe, and Garrison. They are dealing with a fight that happened in a movie theater parking lot between the two boys. They initially think that Garrison was the instigator, but after calling in Peyton and Dayton, they find out that Gabe was being dishonest, and Garrison did hit Gabe, but he wasn't actually the one that started it. They were planning on punishing Garrison by not allowing him to go to an ROTC trip to Hawaii, so this was really going to be a big punishment. I mean, telling your kids they can't go on a trip is huge, right? So the fact that Gabe was going to let it happen and he was being dishonest and going to let his brother get that punishment was a pretty big deal, so they were disappointed in Gabe for lying and placing all of the blame on Garrison. After this, it jumps back over to the anthropology students, and they discuss what they would still like to learn about the Brown family and what they would like to learn about polygamy. Now, the downside of me having a faceless channel is you guys can't actually see my eyes roll, and that's sort of what's going on when the anthropology students are on here. It just feels odd, and if you don't know this, there's been a lot of accusations that it was all just a setup by TLC. There are even some gossip sites that claim that Richard, one of the students, said there was no project. Like, we weren't actually doing a real project. We are students, but there was no project to be done about polygamy. So there's a lot of accusations that this is fake, and because of what most of us know about reality TV, that is probably true. But for all intents and purposes, they are saying they're there to do some sort of research project. After this, the show jumps over to Robin's place, and we find out that Solomon is going to need some dental work done. And because he is so little, it's going to have to be done at a surgery center, and he will have to be put under. Now, Kody, of course, goes along because it's Robin's kids. And this is back when Kody still seemed to be involved with all of his children and supportive of all of his kids. So it was a little bit of a different time. Had it been truly, I think at this part of the show, I think he would have went. Now, he probably would have drove separate and not stayed the whole time, but at this time, Kody was still appearing to be there for all of his children. It's the future where we see that change with him. But at this point, Kody still goes.
We're going to get Solomon to the surgery center and get this dealt with. And once this is done, she'll come back a little higher.
And when he says he come back a little bit higher, he's talking about Robin, because he is saying that she's stressed out about the whole thing. I wanted to clarify that just because it sounded odd if you didn't hear what he was saying before. He's actually talking about Robin. But he goes with her and spends the day with her while this is happening. After Kody, Robin, and Solomon head off to the surgery center, we see the anthropology students go over to Christine's house. And at this time, Annie is living there with Christine. So this is a great time for the anthropology students to talk to someone who has left this lifestyle. You know, Annie divorced her husband. She quit following that faith, and she is no longer a polygamist. So she has a lot she can contribute to this research project they're doing as well. So they spend some time talking to her. After talking to Christine, they head over to Mary's house, and that is where they've been staying. And while Antoinette was staying there, she had found the book Becoming Sister Wives. This is the book that was authored by the wives and Kody. So Antoinette was reading it, and she realized there was a lot about Janelle in there in Mary's part. We know that Janelle and Mary don't have a good relationship. So Antoinette asks Mary about that. She wants to know how the relationship is now. And Mary basically says, you know, it's never going to be what I had hoped it would be, but we can coexist and do what is necessary for the kids.
It's not Janelle's fault, and it's not my fault. It's a result of the people that we were at the time.
You know, we're in season 8, and you can see there's almost this acceptance for Mary. Like, it is what it is. This is it. But as the show continues on, we know they try to work on it. But even in the more recent seasons, we can see that they never get closer. This is another clip of Mary talking about what she thinks the future will be like for them.
I feel like it's too late to have any kind of relationship like that with Janelle. That time has passed.
When she's talking about her relationships with Christine and Janelle, it sort of makes it obvious why she wanted Robin around. Robin was supposed to be the sister wife she was close to and really had that good relationship with. Of course, that's not what happened, and as the show continues on, they grow further and further apart. It didn't help her relationship with Kody, and I think she thought it would. I think bringing Robin in was supposed to help her and Kody be closer. She was supposed to be one of the favorite wives, and then that didn't work. Mary was really the odd one out very early on in all of this. So she went from being the first wife and getting all of the attention to quickly losing all of that and then not getting along with all the people that were coming into the family. After this, we see Kody, Robin, and Solomon come home. The surgery had went fine, and then the show jumps forward a little later, and we see the anthropology students spending the evening with the Brown family. And they are sitting on the couch talking to Robin. Robin is holding Solomon, and Antoinette asks a fantastic question. This is probably one of my favorite parts of this episode.
I noticed that he has a lot of one-on-one time with Saul.
Kody does?
Yeah, Kody has a lot of one-on-one time with Saul.
Fake research or not, anthropology student Antoinette is on to something. She's absolutely right. But I do like how Robin first repeats the question. Like, I need to take a moment to figure out how I need to respond to this.
But I noticed he doesn't have as much one-on-one time with the older kids.
First of all, good work, Antoinette. Second, if you're new to my channel or new to a channel like this, we cannot just show you big clips from a show, so I do have to cut stuff up into smaller chunks. With that being said, it's worth noting that Robin responds with another question.
The teenagers and stuff?
So Robin asks, like the teenagers and stuff, right? She's asking that question because she is preparing her excuse. And I think most of us can predict what the excuse is going to be. You know, they're teenagers, they don't want to spend time with their dad. She's going to say something like that because pointing out that there's an inequality is a huge issue with this family, specifically for Robin, right? So she has to put an end to it. But Antoinette doesn't let it get by that easily. She's like, no, not just the teenagers.
Well, I mean, not just the teenagers that are out and about, but like the middle school kids too.
He says, I have some kids that want a hug and a kiss and want to cuddle and talk, and some kids that don't.
Yep, that's precisely how parenting works. Even when you don't have a bazillion children, you can just have one. There's a point in their lives where they love to sit on your lap and snuggle and get a hug and a kiss. Then there's a point where it's like, okay, this is starting to be a bit weird. I'm way too old to do this, but hey, I would like to hang out with you. Kody wants them to just run and act like he's the greatest person of all time and run up to him and want to be near him. And if they're not doing that, he doesn't pursue having a relationship with them, his own children. And this is where Kody just is a bad parent, in my opinion. And of course, you guys can let me know down in the comments what you think. Maybe someone can point out something that I'm not understanding, but Kody just likes it when the kids think he's the greatest person ever. And once kids get older and they're teens and young adults, they're just not treating you like that. They got other things going on. Their mom and dad ain't the center of the world anymore. That's normal. That's developing into an adult. So Robin is giving this excuse, but honestly, it's not even a good one.
He wants to have relationships with each one of his children, but it's kind of like you can only push so much.
So that's Robin's excuse for Kody. She actually says that's what he says. Like, Kody says, I have kids. So she acts like she's saying what he says, but then as she goes further, she says that's what I've noticed about Kody and his children. Listen, it's just a bad excuse. It's not even a good one. It doesn't even really make a lot of sense. Kids grow up. Your relationship changes. That's normal. That's what you should want, right? You should want your kids to get to be a little bit more independent, and your time with them is going to have to change. But Kody can't handle that. After this, we see them all get together to play poker. And you know what? On the TLC show My 5 Wives, which only lasted 2 seasons, we actually got to see that family play poker as well. So is poker the preferred family game for polygamists? Something to think about. After this, Leon returns home. Leon hadn't been there for any of this. So the anthropology students, along with Kody and Robin and Leon all get together to discuss polygamy, gender roles, financial things that might happen in a polygamous family, and what Leon wants for the future. So they just have this brief discussion. During all of this, though, we get some marital advice from Kody.
Smart about who you marry because you want to be glad you did 20 years from now.
I don't think Kody was good at taking his own advice. So this conversation that is had with Mary, Leon, Kody, and the anthropology students, it sort of carries over to a couch session. And it just gets very, very emotional because Kody says he thinks that they should have had longer courtships. Like, he should have dated the wives longer. And if he had, they might have better marriages. And Mary agrees. Mary actually wishes Kody wouldn't have asked her to marry him for another 1 to 2 years. But Christine gets very upset. Now, I want you to think about what Kody has said. I think we should have had longer courtships. It would have made us have better marriages. He's basically saying if we had spent more time getting to know each other, things might be better now. I don't hear anything wrong with it. Neither does Robin, Mary, or Janelle. But Christine, it just triggers something with her, and she gets so upset.
Slamming all of it all the time.
You don't understand, though. I'm
Just
sorry.
saying, if we would have come together and spent more time, we would have had a better marriage.
I didn't mean for you to
I
feel
thought
that
we were
way.
fine.
What I want.
So Christine is really triggered by this. She gets upset that he has said that their marriages would be better. And she's like, I didn't know our marriage was bad. I thought we were doing good now. I'm like, okay, so even if you're doing good now, Christine, you must look back on some of those years and think, hey, this could have been better if we had spent more time courting or if we had known each other better. Her reaction just, it doesn't seem to match what was actually said and what they're talking about. She was overreacting. That's my opinion. I hate saying it because I like Christine, but she's just focusing in on he's saying that the marriages aren't great, and he didn't even single Christine out. I mean, he had just actually said Mary wishes we had waited, but Christine is really upset. And sometimes I think I forget that there was a time where Christine would react to things this way. And I think a lot of this is it's a combination of like Christine's personality. I know she can be very animated and a bit dramatic sometimes, but I think it's also the fact that she has a lot of stressors. You know, they've moved multiple times. She has relationship issues with Kody, issues with the other wives. She's watched her husband marry somebody else. They've had money issues, and she wasn't happy about the moves. And I think just overall, she's not very happy. Not most of the time when it comes to her marriage and what her life is like. I don't think she wanted it. Well, I don't think. We know she wasn't happy about moving out of Utah. I just think there's a lot of unhappiness there. She tries to overcome it. But when there's a moment where she can feel hurt and be sad, I think it's like ready to bubble over. But that is just my take. You know, we only know so much about a person from a show. So it's kind of my guess, but you guys can let me know what you think down in the comments. What do you think of her reaction to this? After this, the wives, Kody, and the anthropology students head over to a coffee shop to discuss the dynamics of the family. Antoinette does make a point of mentioning that Kody struggles to connect with the girls. He doesn't seem to connect the same way with them because he connects with the boys over physical activity. They discuss a little bit more, but nothing that's super important. And after this, they all leave, and we see the anthropology students go with Janelle to help her put a sign out in front of her property. At this point, Janelle is a real estate agent. Antoinette brings up Janelle's relationship with Mary, and this is what Janelle says about the thought of talking to Mary at a counseling session.
To walk up and actually approach Mary, that's like worse stage fright than anything I can imagine.
After that, it's time for Antoinette and Richard to leave. Their stay is over, but the Browns ask them to stay a little bit longer so they can be there for dinner. So they hang out for dinner and it's all good. Before they go to leave, the Browns give them some gifts. It looks like Richard got to take home the leftover beans. I don't know. I feel like I missed something, but if I understood it correctly, it was beans. And Antoinette gets a necklace from my sister wives' closet. I'm sure that was thrilling. So that is it for this video. I managed to recap it in under 15 minutes. It was tough. It was more difficult than I thought. There was more to unpack than I realized. It seemed like it was going to be a quick one, but it wasn't. I could have definitely went longer. But that is it. If you guys haven't already, I hope you'll click like and subscribe. I am going to link the recap for the next episode of Sister Wives at the end, on the end screen. So if you want to watch it, you can go ahead and click from there. If you guys have anything to say, be sure to leave comments. I love reading them, and I hope you'll come back.